There you are. It's amazing and mesmerising observing the seasons and the cycles of nature in the countryside. Everything grows so quickly. One minute I'm thinking it's taking so long for this to grow up, and the next thing, like next day maybe, everything is there and it's all wild and big and lush, and I'm thinking, what just happened? Where I've lived, whether in the city or on a tropical island or in the countryside, I've always kept some attention on my own 9-year cycle. It's a numerology thing. With a 9-year cycle, your new year starts on your birthday, starting your own personal spring, which is followed by your summer, your autumn or fall, and your winter. Your spring is when you sow new things, new projects, and new beginnings for your year. Your summer is when you tend to them and watch them flourish, and your autumn or fall is when you reap them. Your winter then is when you rest and recuperate and wait for the emergence of a new plan. Those who practice numerology, by the way, say this is why so many New Year's resolutions fail, because people are trying to tackle new projects in the wrong season of their own year. If you're interested, you can find which year you're in your 9-year cycle by adding all of the numbers of your last birthday until you get a single digit. That number is where you are in your personal 9-year cycle. If you look at major events, actually it's interesting to do in your life, you might actually notice patterns of big change around year 8 or 9 or the end of one cycle in year 1 of the next new cycle of your life. I know I do. In the countryside, I really notice the annual cycle of the seasons, like the yearly bird migrations and the monthly cycle of the journey of the moon. It seems to me a lot more obvious and easier to follow seasons and cycles in the country than in the city. I doubt I'm the only person who thinks that. Because Ireland is pretty far up north, we have short days in winter, which are really nice. I love the dark winter days, hibernating. There's only a short space of time to enjoy the short days before the days start getting longer again. And the long days of summer are so nice. The longest day of the year here, I think sunrise is about 5 a.m. and sunset is about 10 p.m. So it's beautiful. The obviousness of nature here has me thinking too about the relationships between the cycles of nature and the internal biological clocks of organisms like plants who adjust themselves to changing seasons like us, humans. We have our own monthly springs and summers and autumns and winters in our female cycles every month as well, right? Including after menopause. And another magical cycle, the rhythm of sleep, right? So essential. So exquisite and precious and sometimes so elusive. Particularly, it seems when we seem to need it most, like when we're highly stressed and overwhelmed. I read that our biological rhythms come from our internal clock in our brains, from the same area of the brain that controls oxytocin production, which is the love drug, one of our feel-good hormones. No wonder we feel terrible when our sleep rhythm is upset. Oh, the cat is here. Oh, the cat is not here. Oh. My own views about sleep have done a complete 180. I was always a good sleeper, and I must say I felt really saddened and shocked at how quickly and easily my sleep pattern got so disrupted when I was working too hard and generally not treating myself as well as I could have been. In my case, when I was in overwhelm in my job, I could never sleep on a Sunday night. It was so annoying. When I needed a good night's sleep most, it seemed, I was denied it. This went on for a number of years. And then if something specific was bothering me, I would wake every night, maybe at about 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. and I remember I used to want to cry. I would think I could handle everything I had to deal with so much better if I could just sleep. But my body was having none of it. It was way wiser than I was, and it seemed to be telling me, no way. You can't will your body to sleep, so you can half kill yourself at work tomorrow. When I removed some of the work stress, sleep returned. It turns out it just doesn't work the other way around. A more responsible job seemed to be the straw that broke the camel's back for me. The hormones, of course, had an impact, definitely. And as luck would have it, in your 40s, when your hormones start going into a tailspin, it's the same time that you might get into a more senior role in a job. I definitely believe the more stressful the job, the more it brings on the hormonal imbalance earlier. It fascinated me, that sleep was one of the first things that alerted me that things were out of kilter, and I knew if I kept things the way they were, I would have gotten sick. I discovered that without sleep, nothing else actually really works. Thankfully, I'm sleeping well again these days, and since moving to the country, I'm getting some more outside time and fresh air and daylight, and I think that helps too, for sure. But my experience really raised the importance of sleep in my eyes, and I'm ashamed to say I think I took it a bit for granted before that, but I couldn't take it for granted anymore. It didn't let me. These days I prioritise sleep, and I make sure to get a decent night's sleep as many nights of the week as I can. And this takes commitment. I stop drinking coffee and tea later in the afternoon or at night. It's a weird Irish habit, it's a country habit maybe, that we love tea. And every night, even before bed, it's customary to have a cup of tea. I also have a theory that my sleep cycles may be 2 hours rather than the typical 1.5 hours. It seems reasonable. I think that they could vary from person to person. I strongly recommend getting to know your own sleep cycles. I don't see sleep as a thing to be done, so I can do more or produce more. I flip that on its head as well. I now have respect for sleep itself, because without it, I can't function. It's that important. I don't see sleep as having the purpose of replenishing me to do more. It can, and it does, replenish, but I nurture it and I treat it as importantly as any part of self-care, whether that be eating or working or relaxing. As well as I know how much it serves me, I make sure I serve it. I have this theory that when you elevate yourself and your body and its normal, hopefully healthy functions, like sleep, to the same level of importance as you give other things in life, like others and work and external things, I think that's real and proper self-care. If you want to hear more of my thoughts about some things I'm learning now that I'm back living in this beautiful Irish countryside, click here. Thank you for your precious time and attention.